started. I was trying to get that at the very beginning. There we go.
Don't tell
2
anyone.
seconds live. Don't tell anyone.
I won't. I promise. I won't tell anyone the thing you told me not to tell anyone.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome to Reformgelical, where the Reformed and Evangelicals meet at the right time. I did not set it an hour early like last time. I apologize for everyone who got here early. Thank you for doing
And under this video, as I'm waiting, is the one with Tom Buck. I have not seen that one. Why did you
Tom
walk
Buck
away?
did a video?
Oh,
Does he do
yeah.
videos now?
No, the one we did with him.
Oh.
He's talking about that, yeah.
Oh, man. I love Tom Buck. Tom Buck is great.
He's a good dude. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah. He is on Telegram, and I got reached out to him. It's like, that's one of the few guys I miss on Twitter and not seeing anymore.
Yeah. That is actually a good point. You know, he still tweets, I guess.
Yeah. I told him to stop. It's pointless, but, you know. We'll see. You know what's funny about Twitter is I see on Gab certain people post what's trending on Twitter, and it's like stuff dunking on Biden and just how terrible everything is. Like, that must mean it's really bad for the liberals, because that's the only people left on Twitter.
That's right. Yeah, it's a tough time for them. I'll tell you what. You know, I've noticed that I'm more out of the loop than I've been with evangelical stuff since leaving Twitter, which I actually kind of like. Yeah,
it's refreshing.
It is refreshing. I don't have to see what so-and-so's stupid tweet was and this and that. It's great.
Yeah, you don't have to see Paul Tripp's pearl bracelet that he wore.
Pearl bracelet? What?
Someone tagged me on Gab. This is the only reason I saw it. During a video, I guess Paul Tripp wears a pearl bracelet in a promo for a How to Be a Man conference.
Beautiful. I mean, that's what. Listen. Don't knock the. I'm looking at it right now. Don't knock the pearl bracelet. He's got a very dandy suit on, I'm sure, a blazer, and his Ned Flanders glasses and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, he's probably wearing a nice ascot.
Probably just got a manicure.
That mani-pedi, sure.
Yeah, you got to match the bracelet. You can't just do one without the other.
Oh man!
Serious question though.
The article that you sent me.
Seriously take yourself seriously and being a man and listen to these kinds of people about being a man? Seriously,
you got to be a man by. Look at this! I see. It's so funny, actually. Like, I was exactly right. I hadn't seen the full picture, but he has a nice, dandy blazer. And a pretty sweet little pocket square there, and no ascot though. So I was wrong about that one, but my goodness.
Yeah, if that's what being a Christian man is, I really don't want to be it.
I kind of want to watch this, but I'm definitely not going to pay for it. That'd be ridiculous. But when is it? Discover what it really means to be a man.
That would probably be a lot of good content, though.
What it really means is probably what you don't expect. Means, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even want to guess.
I bet it's something like what we hear in most churches every time it's Father's Day, where it's just father bashing about needing to step up and be a better man.
Yeah. No, I know exactly the kind you're talking about. Where I step up. Like, what are you talking about, though? Like, I want to, but I don't know how.
I am always like, what about moms? We just had Mother's Day, and it was all about how great they are and how appreciative we need to be. At Father's Day, it's the exact opposite.
Oh man, how to be a real man conference this week. Dandy evangelical influencer. Yeah, he is dandy.
Yeah, he is very dandy. Yeah.
But I've heard good things about him in general. I've never been too into him, but he's definitely
he goes
pretty
to Eric
woke.
Mason's church, right?
He goes to Eric Mason's. He thinks Eric Mason's the greatest pastor since Spurgeon, I think.
That's right. So he can't really be that solid.
That's kind of that's my take. Like, okay, fine, but even if he was solid, he couldn't have been that solid, because look at him now.
I wonder if he's given Mason any livestock or some gold. Maybe that's why he's wearing pearls. He doesn't have any more gold.
He gave away his gold bracelet. Now all he has left is a pearl bracelet.
Yeah. Mason never asked for pearls. So to be fair, he could be doing exactly what his pastor wants.
That's true. I don't know how valuable pearls are, but
Yeah.
Hey.
All right, let's see. We got a lot of people in the chat today. Austin, Cooper, JJ, got JE, aka Josh, Eric. Hey guys, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. A lot going on.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone. I don't even know how to say. Okay, I'm going to put this on the screen. Androgynous neuter?
Androgynous.
Androgynous? Yeah, I'm educated. Androgynous. There are some words like that I've said and heard in conversation, so I know. Androgynous. Oh, okay. But I've never read it before.
Yeah, why would you? Listen, I understand. There's some words that you've never spelled them before, so like, why would you know?
Correct.
Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. All right, so conspiracy theory segment. I don't think we had one in the last couple weeks, or it was all conspiracy.
I mean, the whole episode's a conspiracy segment.
Yes.
The conspiracy world has been put out of business by reality.
Yes, exactly right. The moment of the show, it's conspiracy theory. The next week, it's all proven true. It's actually kind of a little entertaining one. I'm going to share my screen. And before anyone accuses me of being a QAnon, I still don't know what or how to get to a QAnon channel. I know that they're called boards, but that's about it. There's this guy, and it's kind of been like, so there's this guy who reads them on Odyssey, which is another YouTube channel that doesn't ban you. And my wife and I have been kind of listening to the guy read through these different articles as our kind of like our CSI night, or we treat it like that.
Got it. I see.
And it's been really entertaining. And if you like conspiracy theories, which I'm assuming you do if you watch the show, because if you hate conspiracy theories, you're probably never watched the show after the one you've seen. But this one is actually really interesting. It's called Devolution, and there's, I think, 9 or 10 articles by this guy named Patel Patriot. I don't know anything about him. He claims not to be a QAnon person, and I've seen a lot of QAnon people on his Telegram like make fun of him because they've known it all along and those kinds of things. So it sounds very QAnon-ish, but he claims not to be one. And he said that he's a Catholic, or he works for a Catholic nonprofit, and that's why he's staying anonymous. He doesn't want to lose his job yet. But anyways, this idea of devolution, I've never even heard of before. And now that I know what it is so crazy to think that our government can do it. And basically what it is, and you can look at, for example, the U.S. Army in their conduct and their code. I thought I had it brought up, but maybe I need to find it. They actually talk about devolution. And what devolution is basically the government deciding to completely sidestep the Constitution and give power to run the government to a certain group of people. Now, just step aside for a second beyond the devolution theory that this guy puts out. Just the fact that this exists in our country is crazy.
So okay. So when you say this exists, so this is something that they talk about openly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see if I still have it, just for proof and context. Okay.
Is it devolution or is it devolution?
It's devolution. And you can look up, there's a definition on the online that you can look up what it is. But this is the U.S. Army Continuity of Operations Program and Planning Procedures. And you can see it's not like some crazy website. It's the .army.mil site, which is their site.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to hit. I'm not sharing my screen. That would probably help. What a rookie move.
You were sharing it. I saw the thing.
I was sharing the wrong screen.
Got it.
Yeah, that is the problem. Okay, here we go. Now, can you see it? There we go. U.S. Army Continuity of Operations Program and Planning Procedures. And you can see in the address bar, it's army.mil.
Yeah.
Or can you see it? Maybe you can't see it. I'm going to do a little Control F find. Type in devolution. It's referenced 41 times in this document.
So let me ask you this. Why are these like internal operations documents available online?
I have no idea.
That's weird.
It seems kind of silly.
Like, why would you want your enemies to know? Okay, well, this is our policy. So if this happens, our policy is to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is in the context of the Army. And then so going back to the article, let me try. I wish there was an easier way to flip back through pages.
There probably is. We just don't know.
Yeah, exactly right. I wish I knew an easier way.
You're no Ruslan when it comes to live streaming. I'll tell you that.
Definitely not. He is looking really good at this point in the article or in the show.
The article.
in the article.
Ruslan's in this article about devolution? Wow.
Yes, he pops up at the end.
It's not
He's
devolution
everywhere,
is lit,
man.
yo.
So this, he says, he goes through a Newsweek article that talks about it in the context of COVID, that Donald Trump was actually considering doing it regarding having the COVID shutdowns and the lockdowns and all that different stuff, talking about this. And this guy, Patel Patriot, which you can look him up on Telegram if you're interested to find the articles and all of them and stuff. But he's citing this article from Newsweek that talks about devolution. And then I'm just going to read the one paragraph. According to new documents and interviews with the military experts, the various plans codenamed Octagon, Free Jack, and Zodiac are the underground laws to ensure government continuity. They are so secret that under these extraordinary plans, devolution, quote unquote, could circumvent the normal constitutional provisions for governmental succession, and military commanders could be placed in control around America. Now, that's not Patel Patriot doing that. That's a Newsweek article that he cites.
Newsweek article, right? So the idea here is that there's some kind of event that they claim makes it impossible to continue the normal government, and so they need to sidestep it in order to make sure that America survives.
Correct.
Is what they're saying.
In theory. I mean, that's like the justification for it, but it's completely unconstitutional because it takes the Constitution and steps it aside, puts it aside.
So if the nation is governed by the Constitution, and then in order to ensure the nation survives, you take away the Constitution, how has the nation survived? That means it didn't survive.
It means it didn't survive. Exactly right. And it's really interesting because, it's this guy in his
hold
theory.
on.
Sorry.
We got to stop this right now because JJ just found the article. 10 ways devolution actually points to the gospel.
No.
No, I'm just joking.
From the Gospel Coalition.
Brett McCracken, the radical nature of devolution pointing to the gospel.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your flow there, but I thought that was important.
Look at Austin says Ruslan would say devolution might be a way to love your enemy.
It might be.
But anyways, he goes through the article and he talks about all the different things that happened in 2020 and 2019 and then in December and January, where there's things that I still don't understand why they happened. And it gives a decent explanatory theory for it. But anyways, if you're interested in like those kinds of things, it feels like a CSI kind of detective trying to put together clues of what happened. And it's interesting because it's like actual things that happen. Like he looks at executive orders, he looks at different personnel changes and all this stuff. And because, this, it's so bleak looking out there. I mean, it's just fun to.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, listen, I've said this. I don't know if I've said this on this channel, but to a lot of people, I said, look, to me, everything's on the table because so, like you said, Matt, so many things have happened that you don't even understand why they're happening or what the authorization is, or like it makes zero sense. Like how can the Supreme Court be allowing some of this stuff? This is obviously crazy, but like. But if there was some kind of like covert sort of thing like this that would just like, okay, guys, we're just going to ignore the Constitution for a few months because it's very dangerous out there, like that would make sense. Now, I'm not saying that's happened, but we've got to figure out a way to connect all the data points that we have. And there's a lot of wild ones.
There really are. I mean, especially with Joe Biden being in office, quite honestly, it's crazy.
It's very crazy. It's very
if he's not a hologram, I mean.
I guess I got to put away the hologram thing for a bit. Like, I feel like we would have a lot more hologram evidence. Maybe there is some. I don't know.
Maybe they just got better at it. They weren't that good in the beginning. It was sloppy.
Yeah.
But
it's like a cell phone. In the beginning, they were hard to use. Now they're easy to use.
Yeah, it's like you give an iPhone to your grandma who's never had a smartphone before. They're bumbling around. They don't know what they're doing. And then next week, they're posting things on Facebook that you're embarrassed about.
It was the Joe Biden hologram is exactly like that.
Yes, exactly.
1 minute, his arm's walking through, cameras and microphones. The next minute, it looks perfect.
Yes. Oh man!
Does anyone else feel bad for Biden? Yeah, I kind of do feel bad for Biden, but in a weird way, like where I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Because
I feel like he's a completely evil man that gets what he deserves.
Well, this is my point. This is my exact point, though, because all the evil that he did, like when he was in his right mind, obviously I can't stand him for that. Now he's like an empty shell, so he's still doing evil stuff, but really it's just like being led by the hand, doesn't know what the heck is going on. So you kind of feel sympathy for him in that regard, because now he's just an evil puppet. You know,
he definitely is that. Did you see he had his press conference today, and it was later than normal, so he was like really Alzheimer-y today. This is a literal. I'm going to share this. This is literally what he was doing when taking a question.
Wow. See, this is what I'm saying. I feel bad for him, like human to human, you know, like there's sympathy for a man like this. But, you know, obviously in the past, he's, you know,
you're just a little squish, dude.
You don't have any sympathy.
No sympathy. Not at all. Not at all.
He's like Mr. Burns when he's on drugs and looks like an alien. Yeah, exactly. You know, he's just like, he's kind of harmless when he's in that state.
At least Mr. Burns like was actually intelligible. He wasn't senile.
Yeah, he was pretty funny too.
Yeah, he was pretty funny for sure. All right, so I want to take some time to talk about the conference coming up. I'm really excited about it. What is it, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, two weeks, I think. Yeah.
If we even get to go, because I know there's a bill that went to committee. Allegedly will be there because there's a bill in committee of saying that if you do not get the jab, you can't go from state to state anymore. And I think they can only enforce that on planes. I'm not driving up there that time, so if it goes into enforce or in effect, I'm not going to the conference.
I won't be there if that goes into effect. But yeah, that's crazy, man. It's crazy that like these things are just like openly being kicked around. You know what I mean? It's so crazy.
Yeah, it is.
We need some devolution in this place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, so I should close the loop on devolution. Anyways, the theory is that the whole devolution theory is that Trump has actually planned this out, and that he's caught them. And anyways, it goes into kind of a Q feel. But it's not like code and decoding. He's actually kind of doing research and looking at past and trying to put it together. So anyways, that's what the whole devolution theory is. He thinks that after these audits, then there's going to be some, culmination of it. Anyways, it's really interesting.
So somebody just commented on this, and actually I wanted to bring this up, Matt. Okay. What did you think of Doug Wilson's take on fake vaccine passports? Did you read that?
No, I didn't read that. What's the summary of it?
So basically, he makes a biblical case that it's okay to deceive the government with a fake vaccine passport. And I would agree with him, although I'm not going to do that because I don't even want to pretend I'm going along with the shenanigans.
Yeah, that's kind of, I would say in a pinch, probably, but just overall, generally, it's kind of interesting because it seems like there's kind of two trains of thoughts of the Rob Dreyer, live not by lies, which is what I think you're kind of saying.
That's kind of what exactly. Yeah. Right.
And then also the deceptive and being like the sneaky spy kind of a thing to do the greater good. I don't know. That would be interesting. I haven't had the time to really think about that.
I wonder if I would get one and like use it for like certain things, like not just everyday life, but if I needed something specific.
Buy alcohol like in high school.
Exactly right. Exactly. You needed that alcohol,
Well, now you need the passport. So we're in our 30s and we still need a fake ID to get alcohol.
I heard a lot of people were very upset about that take that said it was completely unacceptable to make a fake vaccine passport.
Why?
I don't know. Who knows?
So like my gut though is I would say as of right now, the environment we're in, where we have a chance to kind of push back and see if it doesn't go into effect, except in New York, you're screwed. I would say that we need to live not by lies and do that strategy and actually make a protest about it.
Yeah.
But I would say then but devolved, not to be confused with devolution, but if it went down to a place where we were in Nazi Germany, if we were being rounded up like Mao Zedong or the Russians, those kinds of, if we get to that point, I don't think there's anything wrong. I think that is kind of in the bucket of hiding Jews under your floors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Underground Railroad, hiding Jews, telling the Pharaoh you killed the baby, but you really didn't. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Yep, exactly that. I just don't think we're there yet.
The thing about lying is that there's a couple different kinds of lies, and the Bible specifically talks about bearing false witness. And bearing false witness as a primary context, talking about the law court, right? So lying about someone, witnessing against them, but it's not true. It's a false witness. Now, lying is oftentimes falls into that category, but I don't think it always falls into that category. So the Jews thing, hiding Jews in your if you were to turn over the Jews
Gab now.
I got a funny one from Gab, but we'll talk about it later. But anyway, if you were to hide Jews because you wanted them not to die, and they came to your door and said, "Yes, there are Jews in here," and you said no. If you were to turn them over, you'd be telling the truth. Yeah, there are Jews in here, but you'd actually be bearing false witness against the Jews.
Oh, interesting.
Because they didn't do anything criminal. Like that. So you're actually breaking that exact command by not lying about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I would say that denying someone the ability to engage in commerce, food, shelter, whatever it is, travel, that to go along with that, that's actually bearing false witness. And so to lie in that respect doesn't break that command, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. That's a really good argument. I'm going to fall back to my tried and true so far is if you are doing it to love others, I don't think you're sinning. And I'm sure there is an exemption to this where the rule breaks down. But so far in my life, when I've had sticky situations like that, should I lie? Should I not lie? If I'm considering doing it to actually love somebody, to take care of someone, to, build them up in Christ, disciple them, push them to Christ or something like that, then I don't think it is a sin. When I'm lying to save face, to cover my own sin, and it's something about loving me, that's when it becomes sinful. And I think that kind of applies well in pretty sticky situations.
Yeah, a rule of thumb, I think it's probably effective, but I think you're right. Probably the logic wouldn't work the deeper you go. But I think as a quick sort of you're in the moment rule of thumb kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like that could probably work. Yeah. What I will say though is that a couple people in the comments section have said something like this. Like if it gets to the point where we have to make fake vaccine passports to do like everyday stuff, like we got bigger problems. Like we got to be figuring out other things besides how to get a fake vaccine passport. Like we got to be escaping essentially is basically what this guy's saying. And I agree with that. Like if we get to that point and there's no other recourse for us, like we're already like beyond the point of no return to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we really are creating two different economies. It reminds me of what David always talks about, Chocolate Knox, you might know him, is he talked about the Black Wall Street. He talks about it all the time. I actually never even heard of it before until he brought it up. But there was two different economies because of segregation. It was in Tulsa?
Yeah, it was in Tulsa.
Oh, okay. And I think we're just heading back to that.
Yeah, hopefully. I think so.
I mean, that's the best, one of the better cases, I guess I should say, of this.
Yeah, and even in like the dystopian nightmare of 1984, they had that. They had the people that lived in the outside of the party gates. They had an economy as well. It was a crappy economy, but they had one. And I think that's probably what it would come down to if it went down that road where the vaccine passport was mandatory to go to Safeway. There would still be a store for you, but it wouldn't be Safeway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is my theory. I think that the vaccines are not even about the vaccines. I think it's about the passports.
Oh, totally. Oh, right? Yeah.
You agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Because the passport, because the issue with the vaccine is a matter of healthcare, a science issue. That's totally separate. It's related, but it's separate. The issue with the passports is the power play. So you don't get to do things if you don't do what we tell you to do. Today it's the vaccine. Tomorrow it's going to be something else. Tomorrow it's going to be you didn't have enough black people on your executive board to do business. Right. You know what I mean? Like, so I've been thinking along these lines, Matt, and you know this with the World Economic Forum and all the woke stuff combined with the vaccines, combined with every issue is its own little separate issue, but it's all connected to central planning and power. I agree with you completely. That vaccine pass, they want that. That's like they're like a kid in the candy store with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to share my screen just to go through these because I was thinking about this.
There's no Safeway in Indiana. What did it mean technically Safeway?
So I was like thinking about this because just looking at all this data, right? In Israel, it's 25 times higher to be symptomatic with the vaccine.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have it. 15 studies that indicate natural immunity from prior infection is more robust than COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
And they're not even considering having natural immunity as being somebody who qualifies.
Right.
Like
Right.
you have to have the vaccine regardless if you have the natural immunity, even though it's
That's
better,
exactly right.
right?
And that's
And
how you know on a basic level that it's not about health.
right.
It's
exactly
not about
right.
health. It's not about, it's
Logic.
really not really about the vaccine either, because the vaccine presumably is about, immunity. It's not about immunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if it was, then natural immunity would be totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But as people, many examples, people that have natural immunity, like, well, what are you talking about? You still got to get the vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So I'm just thinking about this stuff. Like, there's no way. And again, this goes back to kind of like the devolution theory, not the devolution theory, but just the idea of it. There's these data points. Nothing we're being told makes sense. So what is the story that makes most sense? And the one that makes most sense to me right now is it's not about the vaccines. It's not about COVID. It's about getting passports to get control. It's the social credit system in the United States that China has already implemented.
Yeah, it's definitely on the same wavelength of that. It's just maybe not as nuanced and as deep as the Chinese one yet.
Uh-huh.
Right now, it's just about the vaccine, but in the future, again, it's going to be about how woke you are. How much do you toe the party line? Did you turn in your neighbors that you knew were selling drugs out the back door or whatever? Or maybe they just were homeschooling their kids. Did you tell on them? Like stuff like that. It's going to be about the kinds of stuff you post online. It's going to be about, the kind of books you read and that kind of thing.
I mean, we've already covered it on the show with businesses where we talked about the investment scores that the businesses get and the higher social score you get.
Yeah, the ESGs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So it's already here. It's just in different forms. It doesn't look exactly like China, but it's going to get there.
Well, the infrastructure is already in place. And I think the vaccine passport is definitely a step in that direction to get that infrastructure in place. And again, it's just so crazy that it's already gone this far. And so to JJ's point, like, if we're talking about faking these cards and like we need to actually do it, we've got so many bigger problems.
Right. And
I
don't even know if we could fake it. I don't even know if we can fake it anymore.
Well,
now chips in it and stuff.
They're putting chips in it. It's going to be a software on your phone, whatever it is. Like,
right.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
Speaking of crazy, here's another one. Oh, I don't know if we covered this last week, but did we cover where Australia put 24,000 kids into a stadium and force vaccinated them?
Did we talk about that? I heard about that.
I don't know if we did. It was probably, but just kind of a preset of what I want to talk about is
this is Australia, right?
Australia. A couple weeks ago, they took from their parents. It didn't matter if they consented or not. They took them, 24,000, and vaccinated them in a stadium. 3 of them died. It was like the day after 3 of them died. Like, this is like the Hunger Games. This is exactly like the lottery, except everyone gets it. And the lottery is, will you die from the vaccine or not?
And so this is the thing. Like, if nothing happens to these officials, which probably nothing will.
Yeah.
You've given them everything. Like you've given them everything, control over your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not like far-fetched. Like, I know some people will say, well, you're just crazy. You always think there's a conspiracy. Like, yeah, but the thing is, they just did it. It's not a conspiracy theory. They just grabbed a bunch of kids and then some of them died and nothing happened.
Yep, nothing happened. In fact, Australia is coming out with a quarantine facility. They're going the next step. They are literally building a concentration camp.
Unreal, man. Unreal.
I think Australia is the test case for other countries because they've locked everyone down, mandatory lockdowns. They've gone door to door enforcing them with the police. They've torn kids away from their parents. There's videos of them tearing their kids away from their parents to get the jab. And now they're building these concentration camps. They're calling them quarantine facilities.
Yeah,
this is going to be the model.
Australia is in a tough spot. They're really in a tough spot. I think that Americans are pretty compliant, I think, already, but I think that the one X factor is just how many, wild gun owners are here. So that's an X factor. But the thing is, even that is something they can sidestep.
Yeah.
All they have to do is, make use of another, shooting, and they can come after that as well. And that's another part of the whole agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been thinking about this a lot actually the last couple of years of how can you overcome the amount of guns that we have? Well, you just go after the leaders. Anyone that speaks up, the FBI raids you.
That's right.
Anybody who's starting to organize, the FBI raids you. And they don't need to go door to door like it's Iraq or Afghanistan. Sure. They just need to take the leaders and then slowly continue to add these confiscations, these regulations, and then the people that aren't leading are just going to give over their guns, and it'll be just that simple.
Yeah, it's and they'll use the social pressure too, because not every person who has a gun is really that, and they really don't. They're not believers in the Second Amendment. They just have one, and so they'll turn it over, and there'll be lots of pressure, and it'll be the same kind of thing they're running with this vaccine. That the main tool is social pressure. Right. They're intentionally trying to divide up friend groups, family groups, church groups. It's all intentional.
Yep.
And this is why we have to stick to our guns of having, actual freedom in Christ, like not the fake kind of freedom where it's like, sure, you cannot do this, but then you can't come. Like that's fake freedom. That's right. Coercion. That's the opposite of freedom, right? Like if we actually are going to have freedom, it's like, it's got to be, if you want to wear a mask, you can, but you don't have to, and you can still come.
Right.
That's absolutely actual freedom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's all I've advocated for. That's all I've advocated for from the beginning. And the thing is, like all of the great reset pastors out there were putting that to be the extreme position that I should be able to choose for myself.
Yeah.
That's just so
you
insane.
Were sinning. It wasn't even just an extreme position. You were sinning for doing that. Right?
Sinning, yeah. Not loving your neighbor, putting people at risk, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Jesus would do it.
We all have to recognize that there's cost benefits to everything that we do. We talked about this so many times, but we have to be able to trust people with their own cost benefit analysis here. And the reality is that the government, that's like the kryptonite to government. They want the opposite of that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of this whole like freedom thing and masks, I went to the dentist yesterday, and they asked me to put on, or they handed me the mask. Like, oh, do you have a mask? No. They handed me one. I just took it. I went to sit down, and then they were just like, she was like looking at me like all snarling. And
oh no,
like, well,
one of these.
I know. Well, if someone comes in, then you have to put that on. And I just ignored her. But the three ladies sitting at the receptionist desk, masks like on their chin, eating food, talking to each other. Yes. They didn't even believe in it. They're just doing it. And so I'm all steaming. I go in and I do my thing. And then they told me I have to come back the next day for some reason. They didn't clean my teeth. They just did the x-rays and that normal stuff. But anyways, so I come back and I'm thinking about what I'm going to say because I know this comment's coming again. And this is what I wanted to say. This is what I was planning on saying. I was going to ask them, if your husband told you to wear a mask or a face covering wherever you went, would you do it? And the feminist blood in them would be, no, he's not the boss of me. That's the patriarchy. And then I want to just ask them, why do you let your boss do it to you then? You obviously don't believe in it. So you rebel against your husband. You won't do what he says, but you'll do what your employer says. Why? Because you get paid for it? That's kind of whorish, isn't it?
Woo.
Let alone the government.
You didn't.
And I was ready to go. I was doing it. I was so ready. And then I get there, same ladies. They don't say anything. I was so upset. And then the other way, I wanted them to ask me.
They would have filmed you. You know what they would have done? They would have filmed you on their cell phones, and then they would have put it on TikTok or whatever the kids are doing these days. And then the mob would have come for you, and they'd try to get you fired from your employer.
Oh, what they don't know. But isn't that like, I think that's a really great line that we should be using, especially on women, because that will just like infuriate the feminist in them like crazy. Because what are they going to say? What are they fight so hard for the man not to tell them what to do. True. And then they go to work and do exactly what their employer says because they're worried about not getting paid.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So anyways, back to our oh wait. One more thing with the masks. Anytime Fitness, guys, has
saw
a
that. It was beautiful.
poster, no masks required. Wear one or don't wear a mask. You have your own choice here. It's AD's church policy coming to a gym. So if you go to a gym or went to a gym at one time or have a membership because you went once and never went back and it's just a reoccurring payment and you've never canceled it, switch it over to Anytime Fitness. Help support them.
I'll tell you right
need
now,
more businesses doing this.
Yes. Yeah. There's a huge opportunity for level-headed businesses out there to do exactly this. And you might take a short-term hit, but I personally believe not only is it the right thing to do, number one, so that's what's important. But number two, I think in the long term, you're going to make out like a bandit. I really do.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you're an employer, you could probably have an opportunity to get really good employees. Huge.
This is a chance, man. I'm telling you. I've been looking at Torba's sharing sort of the job posting boards that have sprung up everywhere that don't require vaccines. Like, this is an opportunity for people, man, because I have a theory that the media has made us think that a lot more people are on board with all this mandate stuff than actually are. I think there's a good amount of people that like the vaccine, but I think that the number of people that support the mandates are pretty small in comparison. But the media makes it seem like everybody's for this. I don't think it's the case. I think there's tons of secret people that won't say anything that are completely disturbed by the policy, and you have an opportunity to get some good employees, man. Just advertise it. No masks, no vaccines required. If you want it, listen, you can get it, but you can still work here. Although I don't know, I've heard some people say that maybe they're spreading it through the vaccine.
No, they actually say it. It's shedding.
That's a wild thing right there, man. Woo!
The spike protein, it sheds.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I forgot who it was. It was Pfizer or Moderna. One of the two admitted it in their publications, in their testings that they had to do.
So, wow, you could even go so far as to say you're not allowed to apply here. Wow.
There was a case in Florida, a private school fired any teacher that did take the jab because of that.
Wow.
And they went to court, and the court sided with the school because of that very shedding thing.
Wow.
There was I think it's on Instagram. I don't go on Instagram ever, but my wife shared them with me before. There was hundreds of videos of women who were complaining about like disruptions in their menstrual cycle and all of these different things without getting it, but were just being around people that did have it. And now we know after that, it was after that video was earlier on when they first started happening. We know that the concentration of these spike proteins goes to the ovaries. So it makes sense.
We talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So anyway,
there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity here. Anytime Fitness, that's the name of the company.
Anytime Fitness.
Total freedom policy. I like that. Then I think any business can benefit from something like this. In the short term, you might take a hit, but I think in the long term, you'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're not in LA or New York or in San Francisco. Yeah. If they're the majority, like maybe not a majority, but a strong minority of people support the mandatory vaccines, they probably live in like those three cities. So if you're in New Hampshire, Florida, Texas, probably a majority of those places don't support it, and you can have
what's it looking like where you are? Are tons of people wearing masks again? Is it everywhere you go now?
There was a little more when it first started, and now I'm not seeing them as much anymore.
Yeah, I got harassed at Walmart the other day. I walked in to get a fishing lure, and the guy was like, "You gotta wear the mask if you don't get the vaccine." I'm just gonna, hey, have a nice day. See you later.
Was that your first time? Because you were saying you don't get harassed.
It was my second time. So I got harassed for the first time right before everything subsided, like for the first time. And then this is my second time at this Walmart, at the same Walmart. It's the same dude too, I think. And it was just the other day, like just last week.
Oh my gosh. That's so great. Josh asks, do you guys think that the jab is going to result in a mass casualty event in the next 3 to 5 years? I've seen some disturbing stuff. I mean, that's what some people say. They say it's going to be from the blood clots, but I'm not an expert, so I don't know.
I have no idea, but neither does anybody. Yeah. That's kind of the point. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's why you don't test things in mass populations. You do controlled groups. I know, it's amazing, right? Absolutely. But anyways, going back to 20 minutes ago, we're going to the conference allegedly, and our topic.
Hold on, we got to get off that again.
Okay.
Austin says he doesn't believe that the mass extinction event or the mass whatever event, but he says, who knows? Stupid conspiracy theorists keep being right these days. That's a good one. That's a good one.
But it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a scientific theory, I would say, because I've heard several experts that are virologists, like in the field, not just some random scientists, but are in the field saying that there are these issues that can possibly happen. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. Obviously, who knows what our bodies can do and fight this stuff off. But
sorry, let's talk about the conference, man.
Okay, conference. Our topic on our panel with Circle Keith is it's such a mouthful. I don't even remember it half the time. The moral bankruptcy of woke capitalism. And it's going to be great. I don't know what makes a panel versus a speech, because is there going to be like a moderator asking us questions? That's how I usually think.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a conversation. Someone's obviously got to drive the conversation, so we got to figure that out. But like, I think it's just us like talking to each other as if we were like doing a podcast episode. I think with Keith.
Gotcha. So we're going to be doing this podcast episode with Keith with just the audience.
Allegedly.
And you can ask us questions just like here, but in real time. I mean, in real life, because this is real time. And we're going to be talking about this. And it's going to be great because Circle Keith has one direction. I want to smash that direction. And AD just wrote a great paper, as a great author would. Which, by the way, some more people found our hidden book that we've never advertised. We got some more royalty sales.
Yes.
And anyways, it's going to be, I think, a really great conversation. Make sure that you join us for that, because it'd be really embarrassing if it's like two people in the audience. Because there's like two other breakout sessions. Who's going to win? I don't know.
But if it's us, then I'm going to be gloating. And if it's not, I'm going to be downplaying the whole thing. It's stupid anyway.
Yeah, exactly right.
Super spreader event. That's what somebody says the Fight Laugh Feast conference is going to be. Super spreader event. All right. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So
then at least we'll have natural immunity. You know what I mean? So we'll be good to go for the rest of the time.
We still couldn't go to New York or go anywhere in New York, but we would have natural immunity. Yeah. What's the percentage likelihood that you think that you've had COVID?
That's a great question, and I think probably like 80% chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say probably 90% chance. I think I got it after G3. What was it, 2 years ago now? It was early January, and now the experts are saying it probably leaked before November, in September or October, and all of us got the weirdest sickness that we've ever had, and like something we've never had before. So I'm thinking that's what it was. And then I think I got the Delta variant or something a couple months ago.
You got the Delta. So I'll tell you what.
Crazy.
My family, I remember I feel like I was almost in tears. Like I was so frustrated, but there was a time in November. It was right around November, because I remember this because we were traveling. We were like at my mom's house, my dad's house, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we were all sick, and it wasn't anything crazy, but we were all sick for a long time. It was just like lingering, and our eyes were red, and my kids were coughing. I was sniffly, whatever. And it lasted forever. And I remember what happened was what made me so frustrated. I think I had a tear in my eyes, like out of frustration, is the first kid who had it got cleared and then got it again.
Oh.
So I was like, and we were in like the walk-in clinic, and breathing problems, the whole 9 yards. So I'm pretty sure that was that. It's in November of that year.
Yeah, I was getting like the really thick mucus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too.
Right?
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, where like you cough it up in the morning and it comes out. It's like super thick.
Yeah. It feels like you put it in your hands. And it feels like when you have a like animal fat on your hands, like it's a super.
This is so gross, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm going for gross for this one. I mean, I don't think the Fight Laugh Feast Network has a gross podcast.
A gross podcast. Fill that niche. Just talk about mucus and gelatinous things.
Yes, exactly. You're right.
No, but actually, my symptoms were actually very, very similar. It was exactly the same thing. You wake up in the morning, you hack it up, and then you're pretty much okay. But,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yep. Just had that a couple months ago. Let's see. Eric says, how long can woke capitalism last with all the canceling, pivoting involved? Total house of mirrors. It is.
Well, yeah. So the thing about it is it's just central planning. It's just, like you have, whatever you want to call it, fascism, socialism, communism, whatever you want to call it. So like, of course it doesn't last, but it's not capitalism to begin with anyway. So it's all just a big power grab. And so it'll continue to be consolidated. The idea, though, is hopefully it doesn't get as bad as it could get, but it could.
Yeah, it's a bunch of commies. I think the Chinese actually kind of cracked the code with how to make it sustainable for a long time. I mean, the Chinese have been communists for a very long time.
Yes.
And what they've done is they've moved to having capitalist tendencies, for lack of a better word, or elements of capitalism to fund the totalitarianism.
Right.
And that's where the globalists, that's why we've seen Charlie Munger, who's like Warren Buffett's sidekick man, talk about how he envies China and how they've set up their system. And that's why we're seeing the passports, because they want what the Chinese have.
Is it like, Matt, in your opinion, is it like sort of like an Uber version of crony capitalism?
Like as far as like an extreme version of
like
crony
an extreme
capitalism?
version of crony capitalism.
Not like the company Uber.
Sure.
No, I do. Well, in a sense, I think crony capitalism is more fascist in my mind.
Okay.
Where there's like this exchange, a quid pro quo, where the politicians will be bribed to do what the companies want in exchange for the politicians will tell the companies how to help them enforce the things that government can't do, opposed to China, where they could do whatever they want. Like Jack Ma, the guy who was the CEO of what was it called? It was the Alibaba.
Yeah,
they just cut him off. He disappeared. Right. I don't think a crony capitalist could do that. A crony capitalist system could do it. I don't think the United States could just get rid of Mark Zuckerberg.
So there's more control in the system that China has. The government has more control.
Yes. Yeah, I think the corporations have a lot more control, and they do what the government wants. And because ultimately, the control is with the guns. Like, if the government really wanted to take over Facebook, they could do it as a military operation. But it's never going to happen because there's not going to be enough people in the government to ever do that. And so in actuality, the application is that Facebook has more control than the government. Unless you're like a China. If that makes sense.
Very, very interesting. So no, it's really demented. It's really demented.
Yeah. So we had a good business case where we have Anytime Fitness. We have a bad one. Delta Airlines is going to impose a $200 monthly fee on unvaccinated employees starting November 1st, becoming the first major U.S. company to levy a penalty.
So the argument is that your healthcare rates are going to go up, probably, right?
I mean, I guess, which is a pretty shrewd way to get what you want because they go up every single year anyway.
Right. That's pretty crazy. So you have to pay, you have to get your paid docs $200 a month to not get the vax.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, if you allow this, which of course people are very compliant, they're going to allow it. That number is just going to get ratcheted up as time goes on.
Of course, yeah. And you got to think about $200 for a Delta Airlines employee, unless you're a pilot. That's pretty substantial, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I don't know
even if you're a pilot, junior pilots don't get paid that much.
Oh, they don't?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's a significant portion of your income every month just to not get an experimental chemical, injected into you.
I know, it's so crazy. It's so, and this is the other thing that's really weird, and why I like the crony capitalism is showing, is the FDA approves this vaccine instantly, and then all of these corporations are just like the quickness, ready to mandate them, just like the moment it happens. Moment it happens. I've heard people talking about the last couple of days that they haven't even produced the FDA approved vaccines yet that though the vaccines that have been the emergency use authorization ones aren't the same ones, and they haven't even produced them yet. But the mandate is going into effect so quickly that you're going to have to take the ones that have the emergency use authorization. So the weird times.
So insane, man. It's just absolutely so insane that we're here.
All right, my last question for you, AD. When do you think Joe Biden is going to step down for president? Not because of Trump, but just because he's crazy.
It's got to be coming. Yeah. I don't know. So I would have thought it would have already happened. But now that it hasn't, I don't know. I feel like this Afghanistan situation might be, the catalyst, and I don't know why I didn't think this, but somebody terrified me the other day when they said, "Oh yeah, this is the scam." So Kamala gets in, and then she can run 2 times because she has never been elected, so she can be elected twice. So we'll have 6, so that's 8 years. That's 11 years of Kamala.
I think you can only do 10. So I think maybe that's what they're waiting for. They're trying to get him all the way to 2022.
We just figured it out. Yeah. So you get him to the first year, through the first year or two, and then you get Kamala in there for 10.
Yeah, but it swings the other way too. If Joe Biden steps down and in 2022, the Republicans win back the House, they can make Donald Trump the Speaker of the House, and then he could be for 6 more years.
But
so,
but the problem is the Republicans don't like Donald Trump.
That is very true.
They like Coretta Harris.
That is very true. I think that's why Donald Trump is trying so hard to run candidates that are loyal to him. So it'd be interesting. There's so many power play options.
I thought he was devolving everything or devolutioning everything.
Devolution, yeah, he might be. Dude, it'd be so crazy if one of those theories ended up true. Like if QAnon was actually real, wouldn't that be? My mind would be blown.
Yeah, so I think to answer your question, I would have thought it had already been a done deal. But this whole Afghanistan situation seems to be a potential catalyst for this. He's obviously in over his head. He's obviously too tired or sick or whatever it is. And have we had a president that's been a more obvious puppet ever?
No.
I mean, they've all been puppets, but he's a very obvious one.
I think didn't they say FDR, or was it one of them had a stroke for a long time, and then the wife was the one that was kind of running the show behind the scenes.
Yeah, maybe.
But it was
I don't know.
TV, and so no one knew.
Nobody knew, right? I don't know.
I think it was FDR.
Who's a bigger puppet, Trudeau or Biden? It's a tough one. That's a tough call.
I think Biden is. I think Trudeau is, but he's also just a liberal hack, and he still has a mind. Biden's just an empty shell.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah. Just the fact that he's younger makes him less of a puppet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. We have people saying it was Wilson or FDR. I don't know. I'm going to have to Google it afterwards. But yeah, we're in trouble. I mean, Biden, the things that he's doing, or who's ever telling him to do these things, I mean, there's a reason for it, and it's not good. I mean, we have left up to 50,000 Americans in Afghanistan. 50,000. And it's not like we left them to figure out how to get home on their own. We left them to people that are going to behead them, rape them, hold them as political prisoners. So
we'll see. We'll see if he survives the next 6 months.
I think as soon as the videos start coming out, you remember those back in Obama's day?
No.
The ISIS video. You don't remember those?
Where
they
would
do the beheadings live on Facebook and stuff?
Right.
Those are going to come back. When those start coming back, I think he's done. There's no way. Because everyone blames Biden for this. I think it's 75% of America blames Biden for this. So there's no way out of it.
That's a good point. And even he's getting heat from people that are his friends as well. Yeah. So you can kind of see, they wouldn't just do that if that wasn't the play. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They don't have free reign to just say whatever they want. So the fact that they're criticizing Biden for this shows you that, this is the play. This is what they're running.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Someone told me that Gospel Coalition wrote an article that was implying that it wasn't his fault. It was actually Trump's fault. So I guess nobody bothered to CC Gospel Coalition. This is what I think is so funny about Gospel Coalition and those kind of people. They like to think that they're on the inside. Like they're one of the power brokers, but really they're really not. Like when Russell Moore went to meet Obama, like to Obama that was nothing. Like who cares? Right, exactly. I don't know who you are. I don't ever want to talk to you ever again. Get out of my office. But it's like to Russell Moore, he's like, wow, I'm influencing the president, just like it said in the Bible that a man who's skilled in his work will influence kings. Like that's what he was thinking. But really, Obama's like, who is this? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So nobody CC'd Gospel Coalition on this one, so they're still blaming Trump. They forgot to CC. Someone's gonna be like, you got to CC them on the next email, man. The play is it's Biden's fault.
They remind me of that little kid on the Christmas Story. There was the bully, and then there was that little kid.
Yeah, Grover.
They're the
Dill.
little kid.
Yeah, they're like Grover Dill.
Yes, exactly right.
So what do they call him? His little toady. I'm calling my dad. Yeah,
they're true. Just like that, except they have pearl bracelets on.
They have pearl bracelets on. That Grover Dill would never wear a pearl bracelet. He had the coonskin hat. Or no, he had the painter's hat. His friend had the coonskin hat.
Coonskin hat, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a funny one. That remember they start punching each other just out of fun, and the big one punches them a little too hard. Yeah. That's how Gospel Coalition is. These guys. Oh man!
All right, guys. I think we're gonna call it a wrap. We're just going off the rails right now. Stay safe. Move down to Florida. See you at the conference. We'll talk to you next week. God bless.
Don't forget, Gospel Coalition is more liberal than CNN.